covered a few things regarding the final list yet to be given at the time of coverage. Now we have a couple new things that we're going to touch on. The list has been officially given by the Mexican national team. A few other teams have also given their final list. Mexico played in a friendly yesterday. Whenever you're hearing this, they played yesterday against Sweden. We're going to cover that. We're going to talk a little bit about final predictions, ahead of the World Cup, things to look out for, and pretty much going to be talking about all sorts of new things that have happened in the last week where we haven't made the podcast. So thank you guys if you're joining us on Twitch, Fade, Multi, anybody else who might be lurking. Thank you guys for joining on Twitch, and for the YouTube people, thank you guys for watching. As always, guys, remember to give a like to the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Compa Talk all the way. So with that being said, John, let's get into it. What's first?
Well, I guess we could start with Mexico's game yesterday. I mean, I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that. I know Hondo was saying yesterday, when he was in chat and he was in Discord, that he wanted to come on and rant today. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys saw from my perspective. I feel like we could have played a lot better. But I feel like we could have definitely played a lot worse. I mean, the two goals that we conceded, the typical goals that we've been conceding, leading up to the World Cup, and not only that, but like just how we've been playing recently. Like, it hasn't been great. It's a set piece goal and then a counterattack goal that you concede. So like, I don't know. What do you guys have for takeaways from this game? Like, in terms of like
Um,
how we played and what you guys are looking forward to and how we're gonna see the first game.
I think first and foremost, I don't think Fate saying worst game ever. I don't think it was the worst game ever by any means. It was a bad game, but it definitely wasn't the worst game ever. I think that we played decent. There's some bits and parts of the game where you could tell that we were playing fine and good enough to compete against a team like Poland. But then it goes back to the same thing as always, where you're those little mistakes, the corner kicks, the set pieces that you're gonna suffer against a team like that, that have people that go up and win the ball good in the air. And so again, we lacked that, and you could tell it affected us on the scoreboard. I did like that we had possession most of the game. We had the ball, we had control of the ball because that's how we like to play. Um, and it's all about just like getting those last chances and finishing them, because if you don't finish a chance in the World Cup, especially against teams like Poland or Argentina, all they got to do is get one and they'll put it in the back of the net. So as far as the performance, I don't think they did terrible. I don't think they did great, but I did see some sprouts of good, also some sprouts of bad. Um, Not enough to really change my prediction on the group that I had initially. So
All right, Hondo, your thoughts?
Alexis Vega, he disappears for most of the game, but when he appears, he creates chances and he scores his goal as well too. He was the goal scorer, if I'm not mistaken, from yesterday's game, right?
yep.
Is we
Yep.
need Alexis Vega to do that 100% of the game, right? We need Chucky Lozano to get back into form, getting back into like and stuff like that. As you said, Matias, right? The last podcast where I said Henry Martin should start versus I think it's Funes Mori just because of the height purposes, right? You need
Yep.
people on the aerial stuff, and like although he is a great midfielder, I feel like height purposes is going to be the key factor, and that's why you would bring in Son Alvarez to the play. Oh, that's another topic that we're going to be talking about later on here, but I don't know why, dude. Martino is benching him. For what reason?
I mean, I don't, I don't,
Exactly.
I don't really understand. I mean, the way that I saw the game, kind of like I was watching it, but there was bits and pieces that I liked. I think we can have like good takeaways. I don't think that you have to criticize the team completely, because not only did we have good chances, and there was things that I saw that I liked, but just a lack of concentration. I don't know how you guys saw it, but I think from the back and the midfield, like, we need to start winning the midfield a lot more. It's a lack of winning in the midfield that causes part of the game too, and lack of concentration in the back. We're obviously going attacking, and then from a counter attack, we're not positioned correctly, and we get back and we get scored on. So their first goal was kind of like that, and the second goal, obviously, set pieces. Just to do a better execution on defending set pieces, because we've always conceded set pieces, and that's one thing that we haven't really fixed. And I don't know I would exactly say that you would go about fixing it, but there are different ways that we should be going about looking into, especially when like we're defending set pieces, and obviously that midfield battle is heavily determined on the players that we play in the midfield, and if we're not playing one of our best defensive midfielders, then I don't understand how like Tata's expecting us to do well, especially when we're not in the position to where we can be sacrificing a player like Edson Alvarez. I feel like we don't have the replacements to be like, oh, that guy's just as good, because right now we just don't. So
I agree.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, he did subs in the second half. He had the opportunity to put him in. He didn't start him, and he had the opportunity to put him in the second half. He decided to put in Luis Romo instead. So I have no idea what's going on through his head or what he's thinking, or if he's just planning to maybe, he's the best player at the moment. He doesn't want him to get hurt in the last game. I don't know what his thoughts behind that was, but hopefully we do see him against Poland, because I think he's gonna be a fundamental part. I think we need him against Poland.
yeah, and I think that he'll be part of the key to win that midfield battle, because obviously we all know that Poland, I mean, not a pushover, so I don't want to say that they have, like, they're not a world beater, but they're also not a pushover. So they have a good midfield, good solid foundation to start off from. So that'll be kind of the key where we'll see most of the battles getting going into that game. And I mean, this game doesn't change my prediction either. I feel like we'll still manage to go through, but things do need to get better before before obviously we start getting ourselves into bigger problems and costing ourselves qualification. But I guess may that might be a good thing for us, but we don't know yet. So that's kind of
Three
where we're
days.
at. Yeah, we
Three
got 3 days.
days.
So I
5 days
mean,
for the Mexican national team, but yeah, 3 days till the World Cup.
with that being said, I mean, what do you guys think of the confirmed list, and the everyone that, I mean, all the teams are pretty much confirmed now. I mean, there's a lot of people that have dropped out due to injury. We saw Nkunku go down in training, so that's not good for France. But there's a lot of teams out here that are trying to fix their squads up, or not only just that, but just trying to iron out um, the way that they're gonna line themselves up. Obviously we saw Spain leave David De Gea, which is probably their best goalkeeper on form at the moment, which is insane, considering the fact that he might not have had like the best end of season, but I think the performances that he's been having this season, especially like now going into the World Cup, have been insane. Have been a very, they've been key for United to keep pushing forward, and getting going on to their season. So it's a bit surprising for me to see him being left out, especially with the player in such good form. But I don't know how you guys are seeing the rest of the rosters. I don't know, Hana, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, as far as the Spain goalkeepers, right? It's not like, okay, De Gea should have been in there because he's been the best in form, even though United has been a shambles of a team, right? We also got a guy from Brentford, right? Key player when it comes to like defending and stuff like that, right? There's a few teams saved Brentford from like actually losing those games as well too, games that they should have lost. There's a guy from Brighton, Sanchez, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's also a fantastic goalkeeper, and then Unai Simon with Athletic Bilbao. He's making them look good for what they are.
No, for sure, for sure.
I
Matiz,
don't
you got
think
any
it's
thoughts?
gonna. As far as that topic, I don't think it's gonna impact Spain a crazy amount, where you'll notice a big difference between De Gea and Unai Simon, or even Raya. I don't think it's like that massive of a goalkeeper difference. But I mean, I still think it's De Gea. I would have taken him regardless. But you look at it now, and it's like I don't think it's gonna affect crazy much. On For Spain, I mean, they got a solid squad. I would say the Sergio Ramos leave out is probably more effective into the squad than the goalie leave out, because he's just a player that's everybody knows he's like made for World Cups. He's a captain. He's there to not only on the pitch show you that he can play, but also like help the team out in the locker room, motivate them, stuff like that. He's experienced it before, so I mean, I think that was one of the biggest that I noticed from Spain. Um, and then as far as other rosters that I've been seeing, um, not really any surprises. We talked about the Nkunku injury. That's a shame. He was actually really in form, so I was very looking forward to seeing him at a World Cup after what he's been doing at his club. But everything else seems pretty much normal. Nothing else would surprise us. Even the Mexico team, I would have liked to see the surprises that we were hoping for, but even then, there was no surprises there. We got what we expected, what we thought was going to happen. So no surprises on that.
And I think what like in Kuku's injury, it was like I don't think they expected it because I feel like he would have helped a lot for them, especially with how they play and just to provide a different outlook into that team. But obviously, we still had players like Alfonso Davies like get hurt, within the past couple days, which could have I don't know how serious his injury was, but it could keep him from starting the first game. So we'll see where he's kind of at, but that'll affect Canada and their hopes, for their first World Cup, and it's kind of sad to see a player like Alfonso Davies because he's a very likable player. And Canada is a likable squad, and you want to see them do well, obviously because it's their first World Cup in a while, so you want them
Right.
to do well. But I think as far as the rosters go, there's nothing too drastic happened where I feel um like it's gonna throw off our predictions that we originally had. But obviously
Yeah.
we'll see where we're at because I know we might have to change a few of the predictions just depending on how we've seen the teams and stuff like that. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't think anything is gonna change any of my predictions at least, and there's not big enough misses out on the World Cup or like people that didn't call or surprises to say that anything that I predicted ahead of time we're gonna you know make any changes to what I had already initially made on the groups. Um, and like I said, even, we can talk about the Mexico one real quick. On the final list, final roster, like I said, I was expecting to see some surprises. I was expecting to actually wake up uh, Monday morning and see that maybe Raul Jimenez himself had stepped aside and said, "Yo, I can't do this," and we took Santiago Jimenez, or even like Tata Martino himself would be open to taking Linus, if not Jimenez, at least Linus. And we, like I said, no surprises there. We got what we thought was gonna happen, even though we were kind of hoping for surprises there, and a little unfortunate on that. But I guess it is what it is now. Like now, you're kind of in the point where you just kind of have to accept it, and all you can do is like, all right, now we just gotta cheer on the Mexican national team. There's nothing else we can do anymore. But
I mean, yeah. I mean, when I saw that, I was working. I saw the roster. I opened my phone. That's the first thing I see is the absentees, and I'm just like, I'm looking at it like Piojo Alvarado does not deserve to be there. There's a lot of people that I feel like do not deserve to be on that roster. I mean, we can get on this conversation about Rogelio Funes Mori not being deserving of being on the roster. Because for how he's played in the playoffs in the Liga MX, you could just tell that he's just not on it. He's just not.
but
I
you
know a
know
lot.
what? Sorry to interrupt. You
Go
know
ahead.
what? That covering what you just said with Rogelio Funes Mori. I think at the beginning I was also like agreeing with you. Like I don't know what Funes Mori's doing there kind of mindset, but like the further it moved on and the further that we saw that Raul Jimenez just wasn't playing a single game, was injured. I started to think like Raul Jimenez is actually the one that should be in or out. It should like at first it was like Funes Mori, why are you there? But then time went on and Jimenez hadn't played a game, hadn't touched the ball in 3 months, whatever it was, couldn't even lift his leg up at training. Like then it became like, okay, maybe he is right. It's between Raul Jimenez and Santi Jimenez who's gonna fill in, and I mean I guess he held it all the way through to with Jimenez and took him instead. But I did see a video of Santi Jimenez landing back in Mexico after, I don't know if you guys have seen it, after he got cut, landed back in Mexico. All the interviewers are asking him how he feels, anything he has to say. Man, the guy just was walking. He's like, I don't want to say anything. He's like, I respect you guys asking me all these questions. I don't want to say anything, and still stopped to take pictures with every single person that asked for a picture. So I mean, just shows you what kind of player and outside the field and like on the field and outside the field that he is. So I thought that was very good to note. The fact that he was just like willing to stop every single person that asked for a picture, respectfully just say, I don't want to speak, I don't want to speak, and keep moving forward. So thought I'd point that out.
Yeah, and I think with that, I mean, I think we're all pretty much hopeful that both of the players, both Linus and Santi are going to be good to go for the next World Cup, and we're hopeful
For sure.
for the expectations that we have for the roster. But I think one of the difficulties with that is that like as much as like I feel like Raul didn't deserve to like he does and he doesn't deserve to be there. One for the amount of things that he's done for the national team, like he deserves to be there. But form wise, the way that he's been recovering from his injury and not fully being fit, also not scoring a goal for the national team. I heard like in 2 years.
Yeah,
That's not very helpful to what we need. And maybe it's a case like Chicharito that we had back in 2014 when he wasn't scoring goals for the national team, scores a goal in the World Cup, an important goal at that. So like maybe it's one of those situations where we get that rewrite history in
I
that
hope.
way. But it's you got to be hopeful, man. Like all you can really do is
Yeah.
like cheer on the team. But I just can't help but think that there's a lot of missed opportunities with some of the players that didn't get to get on the plane and go play with the national team, especially because I feel like even though our group is a little bit tougher, we could definitely make some noise this World Cup and
Like
hope.
yesterday, watching the game, like I noticed, like the subs he was making, like nobody came in and changed the game. Like there was no change of pace of game. Like, and that's exactly what I was telling. I was talking to my dad about the list as well, and I'm like, Linus is the only player we had that goes in and changes the pace of the game.
Yeah,
Tries to take on the opponents. Like we don't have that on the bench anymore. So like that's one of the things I was noticing right away. Like we made subs, but nobody to actually go in and try to be atrevido to try to go one on one with the defenders. It's so that's one of the things that I think. If you didn't take Santi, I think for sure in my head I was like, you have to take Linus over him over Alvarado, but it is what it is.
yeah,
The only other guy was injured. The only other guy that could actually change pace and
Yeah,
change tempo is injured.
yeah, and that's the thing that we're kind of looking at, like, and maybe Antuna off the bench could provide a spark, because we've seen it before. Maybe he can do something like that, but I don't know exactly where you find it, especially with the way that we've been playing lately, and just like it like maybe he felt that Vega could provide something that he didn't need to bring Santi anymore because Vega has played striker and he's been able to do all that other stuff. So maybe he felt in that way that, hey, maybe I don't need another striker. I could just bring another midfielder. And
yeah,
but again, you're getting into different details, and I am hopeful with the future of the national team because I feel like there is a lot of younger players that are coming up that maybe aren't ready for this World Cup, but potentially they could be ready for the 26 World Cup. So like whatever happens this World Cup, I'm just kind of taking it for what it is. Like, am I going to be disappointed if we don't make the fifth game? Yes. If we get knocked out of the groups, yes. But ultimately, I don't have like a high expectations or like sort of an excitement to be looking forward and being like, hey, maybe we can actually, maybe this is the World Cup that we break to. I had that in 18. I don't really have that
yeah.
in this one, so I don't know how you guys are feeling about that, but
Well, in
that's just
18, I didn't have that feeling until we beat Germany. So again, it goes back. We win this first game, you start getting all excited again. You start believing that this is the one.
yeah.
Because I didn't think it was gonna happen until the first game where we showed up and beat Germany, and we had been playing not that great either beforehand. So like it can happen, winning the first game in a good way and like actually playing good football. Then again, you're gonna start getting excited and maybe thinking further on than the group stage.
And there's always that mantra of like Mexico's just a different team in the World Cup. Like I think we've always seen it. You go into the
Yeah,
World Cup playing bad, and you face a team that in the World Cup they light it up. And I know we're not the only team to do that. There's multiple teams out there that have that ability to turn it up, especially because it is a World Cup. There's a lot of players that are like, this is the time where I'm gonna get my big transfers when I'm gonna move on, and hopefully I can get to a bigger club as like a stepping stone to that next step of their career. So
right.
hopefully we see some of the players, especially from our team, just take that next step and hopefully try to provide something to show something so that they can, make that next step to their career. I don't know what you have, if you had any thoughts on the. I know it looked like you wanted to speak earlier.
And as far as players go, Kevin Alvarez is looking for a way out into Europe, right? This is his
Mm-hmm.
perfect opportunity if he beats Jorge Sanchez to the punch because Jorge Sanchez, he's already in Europe, right? He's gonna feel comfortable. He's gonna be like, oh, you know what, I don't have to try as hard. That's where Eric San or Kevin Alvarez, he go in and be like, you know what, this is my chance. I'm gonna step it up. I'm gonna be the starting right back for the Selección Mexicana, which I think he should be right now. That last game versus Sweden, Jorge Sanchez was getting cooked. Some random bozo. I'm like, dude, second goal. The second goal. Matias was talking about it in my chat, and he was like, where the hell is he at? What is he doing? We're not in the
Yeah.
attack yet. We're barely in the midfield. Guardado's barely trying to get it out.
Yeah.
We were in the middle of a transition. The guy's already all the way on the right wing and left his whole space. That's where we got countered. So
Yeah, and Julian Alvarez is one of the players that I believe in. I feel like he can actually do something. I feel like I have a belief that he can turn into something. But I mean, he didn't have a good end of a season with Galaxy to even be in contention for a spot. So
Yeah,
we'll
now,
yeah, I mean, some of the guys that play for Galaxy, the only one that was actually doing something is Chicharito. I don't know. Efrain was always in the national team in previous years, and Efra was doing stuff, and he's also another one of those players that can provide a spark in a way. He's a good player, but I think there's a lot of younger players, like I said, that we're kind of looking into more for the 26 World Cup, and we're looking into now. So I mean, yeah, like
right.
we'll see where we go on from this, but there's another topic that I wanted to talk about is. And I'll ask this to everyone in chat, everyone that's in here. If there was one player that is retired, that could affect and help get this this specific national team squad into the fifth game, who do you think that would be? Start with you, Honda.
I can definitely think of one only because I have seen a player like him at all for the Selección Mexicana. It's Rafa Marquez, a leader. I'm gonna say I'm right here.
Yeah.
Instructions, and we'll get to that fifth partido. Even though I don't know if he did, I don't think he did, but he has that knowledge. What was it? 5 World Cups. He's most capped in the World Cup as well too.
Right. That's
Okay.
definitely a shout that you just can't argue with.
Yeah.
Rafa Marquez, he's there. He's played 5 World Cups, captained at every single one of them. So he has the history behind him to back it all up, and he's very helpful in a World Cup, even if he's not on the pitch, man. Like just having him in a locker room, having him to speak to everyone, definitely very helpful. I think I would go, retired players and just recently retired. I would go a little quicker, and if we're talking about things that we are missing right now, I'd dare to say if we can get a 2012 Uribe Peralta back in the team, bro, that would be deadly right now.
I'm not gonna argue with that, right?
that is a good shout. That is a
I
good
think we
shout.
need goals, man, and that guy in 2012 was built different. So
Talla de oro, man.
I will counteract you and say kind of the Borghetti. I feel like Borghetti, the way that he would just finish everything, just the way that he was as a player. I feel like him. I mean, you can even throw it back and say Hugo Sanchez. You need that little bit of flair. You
yeah,
need that little bit of spark. You want that. Hugo can provide that. But I think
Goals.
if you want guaranteed goals, you got to take one of the top two, most scoring strikers that we've ever
Ayo,
had.
but at the same time, all these players we're naming, man, most of them, actually, all of the ones we just said have never made it to the fifth game either. So I don't know how they would
Yeah.
help this make it to the fifth game.
Listen, they haven't helped, but they have the knowledge of okay, we lost this way, we lost in this certain way. They probably lost in every single matter, right?
Right.
You just think, oh,
But I think if we're being realistic, every single one of the squads that we've had up to like even now, like it's been flawed in a certain way, and there's been positions where, it's been really weak, and I think you see it even now. Like there's positions right now where we're just like we're not looking as confident, and I know like I said, I'm going back to the midfield, but the midfield is one of those things where I'm not as confident in it because I just don't see it there. A lot of the players that were playing yesterday got out bodied, and they got bodied off the ball. And there was a couple
Yeah.
players flying across the pitch because they just
you
weren't
think
strong enough to
Rafita
compete.
Marquez is gonna get body like that? Hell no. He's gonna start a fight.
Yeah, but if
I
you
don't. I
but
also don't think Edson Alvarez was gonna get
yeah,
bodied like that.
yeah,
But
that's what I was about to say. But if you already have Edson, like, do you really need Rafa to provide that spark in the midfield, or you just not like?
Midfield or center back.
no, I would put Rafa at center back because
You don't think
honestly,
we
I
have
think we
enough?
can use him there.
You don't think we
No, I
have
think
enough
we
with
can
the
use him
sunrise
there.
yet?
I think we can use him and Johan Vasquez. That'd be the pairing.
That'd be the pairing
Fair.
that we choice. That's interesting. No, but like
Bench Moreno.
bench Moreno's actually really good. I have my own personal opinions like Moreno because I feel like
Rafa's
he
actually
he could have taken the torch that Rafa left, but I think just the age, the way that his injuries have lined up, he just hasn't been able to be that player. But
El Maza
um,
Rodriguez, bro.
bro, you're not serious. You're
Yeah.
not serious. I can think of one infamous moment. I think I know you guys both know what I'm talking about. Who was he playing with? America at the time or Cruz Azul?
I think
It
it
was
was
Cruz
Crystal.
Azul. Yeah, Cruz Azul moment. Yeah, I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh man, dude.
All right. If you do you guys want to give our updated predictions, or is there anything you want to touch on final with any other squad that you guys want to talk about or things like that?
On the,
I think my predictions are gonna say the real. Like even if the squads look different, like okay, for example, France, who is left out, it's just more vouching for me being last place, bro.
Being in last place.
I'm just saying.
What do you really think that they're gonna have that much turmoil? Oh, I guess we could talk about one thing quick. I guess since we're already on the top, like we're talking about football. I mean, I know it's not World Cup specific, but your guys' thoughts on Ronaldo's situation. What do you guys that interview dropped this week? I don't know if you guys have like seen it or if you just only seen bits and pieces of what he said. But I
nah,
know
bro.
Matthias,
You
you
know
have
how I feel about Ronaldo,
Matthias,
bro. The
Matthias. I know
guy,
I know you have your strong thoughts about it, but go
the
ahead.
guy. I think, in my opinion, the guy has had deserve. It just was a matter of time when a manager actually realized what he causes in a locker room to a team and wasn't afraid to act on it, as to where opposed where most managers that he's being managed under are like, this is my guy, so I can't say anything to him. I can't, because it's just Ronaldo. So I'm glad that Manchester United and the manager have been. I think they've been doing that because it's like, dude, you can't just do what you want to do in a club and act like it's yours, and act like you need to be on the field. Nobody deserves to be on the field because who they are. They need to earn that. So I think in my opinion, that should have came sooner. But that's just how it is.
On to go ahead.
I agree with Matthias on that, but what Ronaldo was saying in the interview, finally somebody fucking out because United has been going downhill since what? Since forever, since Alex Ferguson fucking left, and nobody was talking. Well, they were talking about it. Nobody was doing shit. Nobody was giving action to it. Like as a United fan, I'm like, thank you. Finally, somebody said something. Like, maybe something could get fixed there, but I don't know, man.
I think for me it's like I can see where he's coming from because obviously losing a child isn't the easiest thing. It's not easy for anyone in terms of just the way that like I can understand how he's feeling and the reason why he's not been maybe in the top form that he was showing before, but obviously you lose a child, you give he him and his partner gave birth to another child as well, but they lost one, and obviously that grief, it's not easy for anyone, especially if anyone that's ever lost anyone, you would know that it takes a while for you to grieve the loss, and you're obviously as a person you're not expected to be at 100%. So I know there's that mantra of like athletes aren't human, but I think we need to get rid of that aspect of it because I think if you're being disrespected, like he's saying, like I don't like we only seen it from his perspective, but like we're hearing it from him. But if he's saying that he's been feeling disrespected and the club didn't believe him when he was in the hospital for a month and they were upset that he wasn't at preseason and stuff like that. Like to me, like as a person, like you gotta be understanding that if someone's going through that, like give them the time to be able to recover from that because you cannot expect someone, it could be like all these super Ronaldo, Messi. It doesn't matter who it is, but like you can't expect that person to come in and perform and to be in that same sort of level when personally they're just not there. Like you're never gonna be there. So I think the criticism that he's received, um, I don't really understand it. I mean, I understand it, but I don't really agree with it. Because I just don't like as a human, I don't see that as something that he should be criticized for. It's more like people
And
should
here's
be
the
there for
thing,
him.
right? His work ethic. His work ethic, right, is better than a lot of the United players that are there right now. Harry Maguire, right? I think I heard something about Harry Maguire, Rashford, and Luke Shaw walking into the training camp while and the rest of the players were already there. Walking in late, I'm like, okay, how are you gonna disrespect Ronaldo, right? And fucking glorifying English wannabe ballers. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Like into me, like he was also saying to the point where it's like a lot of like I think he got asked like, do a lot of players like look up to you or ask you for advice or things like that. Like I think as a young player, if I was a young player in that Manchester United team, like there is no reason why they shouldn't be looking up to someone that is so great. Because he has he has been there. He has been in moments where a lot of players dream to be in. These won things a lot of players dream to win. So like there's a lot to learn from that, but I don't like. I'll touch on this. I don't like the fact that he went at Ten Hag because I don't think Ten Hag is completely responsible. Because of the way that he's managed the club, I feel like as a United fan, the way that that club has been turned around from where we were at and the turmoil ending last season to the start of this season and how we started and how we managed to turn it around and get on the run that we've been able to get on. It's been a massive change in the locker room and just the way that some players have been playing. You see it there. So I don't agree with that. I do also like the fact that he did go at the Glazers because someone had to say it. He is speaking his truth, and at the same time, like not everyone's gonna agree with it, and not everyone's gonna respect that. But some people will always say like, "Hey, keep that behind closed doors. Like, don't air it out." But at the same time, it's been like 3 months, maybe 4 months that he's been feeling like this. Maybe even longer. With the players that have been attacking him and kind of making him feel like he's the reason why United haven't been performing. But I think that just shows, and that's kind of seeping into the World Cup locker room with Portugal because you see it. Bruno went in the locker room and he went to go. Ronaldo saw him. He went to go gesture and kind of shake his hand, and Bruno was kind of reluctant and kind of gave him like an uneasy like handshake. It wasn't like it was something too positive because obviously Bruno is a massive supporter of Ten Hag and just the way that he's been able to manage and turn around the club. But you see it even with like Joao Cancelo. He goes to try to go to like console him or tell him something, and he's just kind of like get away from me. So like I don't know if this interview is going to cause that locker room to kind of implode and not do as well, but it could be one of those factors where this is going to affect them in the long run, not only as United but as in Portugal's team, because a lot of the players that do play for United and are Portuguese are friends with a lot of other players in the camp. So that's one of the things where a lot of people can take that the wrong way, and we'll kind of see how that affects Portugal in the long run. But I just don't know how he can move on from where he's at now, because a lot of the things that he's said is kind of just burning bridges. And I do see what Matthias says, that a lot of managers do that, to where they will kind of back Ronaldo and they'll kind of help him out, or they won't say anything to criticize him because it is him. But I mean, I think as people, we all got to take that constructive criticism and just work with it. And maybe Ten Hag was just more maybe he had more of a language barrier. Maybe I'm just trying to justify it, but that level of understanding just wasn't there. So I could see where he could feel disrespected. But
100%.
yep. So I mean, in terms of like, I think that's gonna be the camp to look out for, because there's always been a camp in the World Cup that's always been kind of more in turmoil and kind of like
It happened to Spain in the last World Cup, right
Yeah.
before, like a day before the World Cup, they got a new manager. So
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like something is just gonna rub it off. I mean, there's always been every single World Cup. This has always happened. So I think this year's gonna be Portugal. I think they're gonna be one of the teams where I don't. We were all calling them, topping the group, but if this affects them that much, like maybe they don't even make it out the group. Like, and that would be unfortunate because that is his last World Cup. Go ahead, Honda.
It shouldn't affect them in any way, right? At the end of the day, right? That's personal. That's outside of what work is, right? Portugal is a completely different like brand. But at the end of the day, right? You bring something home from work, um, like work, like is it something that goes wrong at work? Tell your family, right? And then if they disagree with you, then it gets into a whole argument, right? At the end of the day, Portugal, even with or without Ronaldo, they still play up what they're doing right now, and it really shouldn't affect them.
Yeah, and I feel like like I said, it shouldn't, but you see it every World Cup. There's always that one team that has that. So we'll see. And I don't know if you guys saw another news. I don't know if you guys saw the reports, but apparently Qatar was paying other people from other nations to play off as other people's fans, and to dress up as fans of other nations to try to get people to go to Qatar. I don't know if that was if that was their way to try to sell the people on their nation, but I don't see why they would have to do that. Like,
nah, man, that is unserious, bro.
It's an L.
You're gonna see a guy who clearly looks like he's from the Middle East wearing a freaking
Argentina
Germany
kit.
jersey.
Yeah. It doesn't look right. Like, I know there's been nations in the past that done it. I know North Korea was one of the ones that they paid other fans to go to South Africa and
Ain't nobody paying me to wear an America jersey ever, man.
so you wouldn't. So not if someone gave you a bag, they threw a bag at you. They're like, "Hey, Matias, wear an America jersey for one day."
Nah,
You
no,
wouldn't
the
do
bag
it?
had to be the bag had to be nice.
No, it was a nice
That's
bag.
against that's against my my
A lot.
religion, bro.
It had a lot of commas in that bag. You're not taking it.
Oh, he's gonna bring religion into this when he
No,
believes in
no,
science.
that's against. I couldn't. For
Nah,
the
but
morals, man.
listen, if someone threw a bag at me, dude, I'll even wear a city kit, man. They throw a bag at me, if it's got a lot of commas in that, I will take the bag. I'll happily wear it for one day. One day, but it's
Gotta
gonna
be a nice kit too, though. Like if it was an American and it was one of their nice kits, sure. It
Okay,
wasn't as obvious to
what-
where it was like the plain old yellow one that everyone knows. Like,
What about that? What about that black kit that they had a couple years
The
ago?
black Azteca one,
Yeah.
that one was nice. I'll wear that one.
Yeah, okay. See, there you go. We'll throw a bag at you. We'll wear it next stream. We'll get you the kit. We'll ship it out to you. You can wear it. You can wear it next podcast.
School even have because all I remember is just plain blue, plain white, and
Bro,
like,
Cruz Azul hasn't had a different kit. Say the word different in a while, man.
Didn't they have an orange one?
They had the maroon one for like 3 seasons ago. I have that one. It was like a maroon, and then on the sleeve there had like little stripe of blue. They had the orange Boeing one, but I thought that one was ugly. It wasn't really anything crazy. Anything else is usually just the plain white.
See,
white and blue.
You guys get to go funky with the colors. You know, Leon, we only have the typical.
Hey, you guys had the
Esmeralda
pink.
green.
You guys had the pink
Hey,
and
that
the
pink one was fire though. That pink one was
and the
actually
blue.
the pink,
The pink and the black one.
The pink one was fire. I like the newspaper one. The newspaper. You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. I didn't really like the luchador one. That one was kind of out, but
I think a few teams in the Mexican league did the luchador thing partnership with AAA.
yeah, I think it was cool. I mean, it's a dope partnership,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't know.
and this went from a funny podcast to freaking AAA, bro. Come on.
Yeah. So thoughts on La Parca's pass away, bro?
That's so unserious. No, but honestly, if there was a player that you'd pick that could get a big transfer out of this World Cup, who do you think it would be? Honda, go ahead.
You mean out of Mexico?
No,
or
out of
in
just
general?
anyone in general.
Ooh, come back to me. Back to me. I gotta think about that.
I would like to see. I'm gonna give you my Mexico one and then my all-around World Cup. I'd like to see. I would have liked to see Eric Sanchez at the World Cup to see the world can see his talent in the way he finished out the season with Pachuca. So I would have liked that. And I'm just kind of cheering for the Pachuca guys who deserve. Luis Chavez is under the radar for a few European teams already, so I'd like to see his World Cup, and if that elevates the team interest for other bigger clubs. And then as far as just in general, I think there's a lot of players from different places that are already in Europe, so it would just be like a move to a bigger squad. I don't know, man. I mean, Mbappe's on the way apparently out. So
Hey,
I don't know, or maybe
150 mil to United. I'm hearing a swap deal with Ronaldo.
maybe a Neymar back to Barca, or something like that. I don't really know.
I think for me, I think I would love to see someone like I'm drawing a blank, but the Monterrey midfielder. Help me out here, because I'm like drawing a fucking mess.
Monterrey midfielder.
Not Romo.
Don't
Luis
check
Romo.
Not Romo. Charlie Rodriguez. No, yeah, he used to play.
There's Charlie Rodriguez for Cruz Azul, yeah.
now, but I would love to see him in Europe sometime soon, because I feel like that guy just deserves. I mean, just the way that he plays.
Yeah.
He's a good enough player. I feel like he's a good enough player to play for a team in Europe and continue to grow his game. But
we could see Hector Herrera back to Europe.
hey, come on, that's unserious. The man went to Houston, took his bag, and then he's not. Yeah, man. I don't know. I have my personal thoughts on Hector Herrera. That guy is. I don't want to. You know what?
Man, if we would have taken Santi Jimenez, that would have been very helpful for him, man. Going from Feyenoord to a bigger squad.
Listen, for future business interests, I'm not gonna slander Hector Herrera, because you never know. For future business interests. I'm not going to slander him, but I think another player that would
Get him away from whatever.
Hey man, you never know. Hey, exclamation point! footy summer.
Exclamation footy summer chat.
No, but in all seriousness, I think there's other people like Gravardiol that I think will have that big move after this World Cup, because I feel like he's definitely one of the players that deserves it.
Yeah,
he already had that interest with Chelsea, and obviously that interest is probably still there, but we could probably see him make a bigger jump to a bigger team. I think that'll be
they
one
perform.
of the players. Yep, we'll see. Honda, go ahead. I think we've given you enough time to think.
I got the Mexico one secured. I just don't see a huge jump from like anyone else though. I mean, Alvarez, kind of needs you at the right back position. They're kind of struggling right there. Go to PSV, link up with Eddie Gutierrez. That would be kind of solid, right? As far as like, Nkunku is already going to Chelsea, right? That's the only one that I was thinking of, like, a big move, but he's already.
Yeah, there's a move. Yep, move coming from him.
And Portugal. I mean, I don't really see anybody there. I'm trying to think of like the big names. I mean, Argentina. I mean, I can't see anybody there. Brazil. Maybe. I can't really see anybody.
Like most teams, most guys are pretty much settled at this World Cup. It's gonna have to be like some of the younger guys.
I feel like one of the Canadians can get a bigger move. One of the ones that like either Laren or someone like
Buchanan,
that. Yeah, someone
on the wing. Yeah,
someone like that. I feel like would be a bigger jump, because I know that they're at Bruges now, but they could make a bigger jump to a bigger league in Europe, and I feel like they'll be able to because honestly, Canada's attack relies a lot on that, so I feel like they can make a bigger move.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Honda. You're looking eager to speak.
Another one, right? And Chucky Lozano, if he decides to like turn it up, he could even possibly move from Napoli to another place, because he's back and forth with Politano, right? The coach Spalletti, like between Chucky Lozano and here's the thing, right? It could come out unserious. It could come out serious, right? But Chucky Lozano, right? Going to one of the bigger teams and like probably. I'm not saying confirmed which one, right? But move to one of those bigger clubs in Spain, the bigger three.
Yeah. Hey, there's also Alexis Vega, who's just waiting for his pass to Europe. So
that is true. He does have. If he has a World Cup, I feel like he could, make that jump. Obviously, he's one of the players that I have a strong belief in, and I feel like he'll be able to provide something for a European team. But yeah, what's that?
I said bueno.
I think that's all we really have for this week. I mean, we'll have more to cover next week when it comes to.
It's a shorter podcast, as there wasn't much happening this week. It was kind of a dead week. We got a few new roster releases, a few friendlies, but other than that, it's not much else to cover.
You know what? I got my player now.
Who's your player?
Gakpo moving to a bigger club. Right?
Gakpo. Let's hope he gets some playing time.
It'll be tough for him to get playing time. There's a lot of good players in that Belgium squad. Wait, you guys don't think any... Oh, actually, there's one... I guess we could touch on one. Ricardo Pepi. Let's touch on that. Ricardo Pepi had the audacity, right? Be disrespectful. I don't want to burn bridges here, but Ricardo Pepi...
All that!
Okay, listen, I'm going to touch this, and I'm just going to say this quickly. Ricardo Pepi had the audacity to turn his back on Mexico because he felt like he wasn't going to get enough playing time. Takes the U.S. into this World Cup with qualification, but gets left out. Like, personally, to me, with everything that he said, because I know he's like tweets, and there's a strong reasoning as to why I don't really vibe with Ricardo Pepi. But
yeah,
you know what? Personally, as much as I know that affects the U.S. and how much he actually deserves it because he's on form and there's a lot of things that he's done for his club so far, he can honestly just he can just go home, take his little vacation, relax, sit at home and watch the World Cup like the rest of us, because that is what you get when you start becoming disrespectful and you turn your back on our national team, which actually, if he would have been, I feel like if he would have been playing with Mexico, he would have got called up. He would have been in this World Cup. He would have been playing. But
Hey, I'm not watching the World Cup at home, bro. I'm going to Qatar.
Yeah, you're going to Qatar?
Yes, sir. I got the tickets confirmed.
Te vas a ir en la combi.
Straight from the combi. Back just in time for footy summer.
Hey, speaking about that, good transition, Matisse. You just reminded me. Let's remind the people. All right, so the guys here at Compa Talk Podcast, we have decided to do a football charity match over the summer, or more of an event on the weekend. But we are hosting a charity football event in Austin. We are in the works of getting the location right now. We're in talks with people. Can't exactly disclose who we're in talks with, but we have people signed up. I will provide a link in the description of the video, so that you guys can sign up if you guys want to attend. You guys can meet us there. There'll be a lot of other streamers that are coming along that have been signed up. And if you want a good time, if you live in Austin and you're in the Austin area, come through. Or if you just want to fly in and meet a bunch of other streamers, or if you're a streamer yourself and want to take part, the link for the signups will be in the descriptions. But yeah, that's another a good thing that you reminded me, because I feel like we should start pushing this out there to other people.
Yes, sir.
Content creator, right? We're looking for them.
Yeah, that is true.
But
hey, if you're just the person who just wants to go hang out with people, have a fun time, food vendors, live music, a whole bunch of stuff over the weekend, watch your favorite people on Twitch or content creators in general, do some skill challenges, all that good stuff, man. It's going to be a weekend that you do not want to miss, and there's a lot of big things planned for this event. So just make sure you guys sign up, register. The link will be in the description, like John said, and
we'll
get
also
registered
provide
for either or.
I'll provide a link to the Twitter account where you can stay updated. We'll have all the updates on there. As far as the date, the venue, the way that everything's to be ran. Eventually everything will be put out, but we're in very, very good talks with getting the place, and hopefully within the next week or so we have the date and the time and everything kind of set. So we're working on that in the background too, as well as working on other personal projects that I think everyone else is working on. But yeah, I think that's really it from us for this week. I don't have anything else. Any final thoughts?
Again, check the notification bell down below, right?
Hit the like button, sub. That's about all we got. We'll see you guys next week. There's not much else to cover this week, so we'll see you guys next week for any updates. The World Cup begins this Sunday. Get hype, and we'll see you guys with some recaps on how the games will be doing next week.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys later. See you guys.